Where are all the Black people in Metro Vancouver? It's a question some of us mixed and Black folks get a lot. But despite the common misconception that there are no Black people here, the population has grown and is finding more ways to connect.
Being Black in Metro Vancouver is up and down.
Corporate controller and content creator VC Burungi Namayomba moved to Canada from Uganda 8 years ago.
It's not as it used to be before, where you used to be like a lone wolf walking around Vancouver. So I feel like there's a shift.
UBC student Gonkal Ka has also noticed the change.
I remember in 2021, I'd be the only Black student in classes. You look around on campus, you see that one Black person, and you're like, yeah, see you. Whereas now, I think there's a lot more people, both at UBC and outside, that you can connect with.
And we have the numbers to back this up. Statistics Canada data shows BC's Black population went from around 43,000 people in 2016 to more than 61,000 people in 2021. The Black population in the province now sits at about 1.3% of the total population. And in Metro Vancouver, the Black population rose by 38% between 2016 and 2021. Even with an increase in population, it can still be challenging for some Black people to connect. VC says it's been easy for her, but she recognizes it's not that way for everyone.
On my Instagram, the kind of comments I usually get from other Black people is like, how did you manage to reach there? How are you thriving? Like, it's more like of a shock. They're like, you're here and you're like, I've been here for a long time and I'm not thriving like you. Like, guide me or not necessarily guide me, but like, how are you doing it, right?
What makes it hard for some Black people to connect? Handel Kashope Wright is the director of the Center for Culture, Identity, and Education at UBC. He says there are a variety of reasons.
The fact that there aren't that many Black people, the fact that we're dispersed, the fact that there are no Black ethnoburbs where you're just going to bump into a lot of other Black people. And the fact that there's a need to sort of more consciously bring people together.
Vancouver was once home to a Black neighborhood, Hogan's Alley. From the early to mid-1900s, the 3-block stretch at the edge of Strathcona was home to a vibrant community. Jacka Blay is the executive director of Hogan's Alley Society.
If you drive through kind of along Union Street, you can see some of the typical homes you would have seen around here with porches in the front. And we had businesses as people started opening up. Some of the popular businesses were restaurants, Black-owned restaurants in the area.
But by the 1970s, the community was pushed out and buildings demolished to make way for the Georgia and Dunsmuir Street viaducts. Jacka says the dismantling of the community has had a lasting effect.
That's had an impact on people, talking about growing up in Vancouver and having a very isolated experience, whether it's being the only Black kid in your class or your school, the only Black family in the neighborhood, the only Black person in your workplace, and experiencing racism and discrimination.
Handel calls the impacts profound and negative.
Community of Hogan's Alley could have been a node from which Blackness could have grown organically in Vancouver as a city and in Metro Vancouver. It could have been a point of connection. And I think the message to that community and successive communities and people who've moved here is that Black people might not be particularly welcome.
The City of Vancouver has agreed to give a community land trust to the Hogan's Alley Society for the land bordered by Main and Gore Streets to the west and east, and Union and Pryor Streets to the north and south. In return, the Society will provide housing, amenities, and a cultural center. But while Black people wait for a possible revitalized community hub, VC and Gonkal encourage others to put themselves out there.
Most people will reach out in places like salons. If you have like salons, churches, and I feel like that's where most people think they will connect, but I just want to encourage other Black people that there are other ways to connect than the traditional ways of creating a community.
If you're Black or a person that identifies as part of the African diaspora, and you're hearing that there's no people in Vancouver, we are here, we are building, we are connecting, and the more people we get out here, the further we can go.
Who's working to bring Black people together? That's a whole other chapter, dropping soon.